Hello everybody, Kyle Bensinger from WLEW. I'm in Orr's Drugstore in downtown Pigeon. I'm sitting with the owner, third generation owner, Fred Orr. Fred, how you doing?
Pretty good today.
Good, good. And this is we've had a couple trial runs so far, so this is not the first time we're trying to do this. But again, thank you so much for having me come interview you and taking the time out of your busy schedule. First off, we'll just start again. Third generation owner, Fred Orr, Orr's Drugstore in downtown Pigeon. Where are you located at?
Well, you can't get too lost in downtown Pigeon.
It's not too big.
But 26 South Main Street.
Okay, and what are your business hours?
We're open from 9 until 6, Monday through Friday. Then on Saturday, we're open until 9 until 3.
So that's 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, 9 to 3 on Saturdays. And everybody's got to take a Sunday off, right?
Now we do.
Yes.
Back years ago, it was 7 days a week.
Wow, okay. Do you know when you guys stopped doing that?
There were a lot of factors.
Okay.
Sundays we sold a lot of newspapers.
Okay.
And not much else.
Yeah, yep. A lot of people, I know myself, I don't go too far on a Sunday, so yeah. So, okay. All right, if we can just start off, I know before, not this location, not the 26 South Main Street location, but at another time it used to be called Sutton's Drugstore, right?
Sutton's Drugstore was down the street where the Independent Bank has their drive-through now. And Sutton was going into the military for World War I and needed someone to run his store. My grandfather came up from Cass City where he'd been working at the Woods Drugstore and ran the store for Mr. Sutton.
Now, do you know about when that was that Mr. Sutton came? I assume it was right at the end of World War I. He came back and...
Yes. My grandfather bought the business from him in 1970.
I think I had 1917.
1917, he came here. 1919, he bought the business.
Okay. And you and me, we were talking earlier about how at that time that this area particular was really German, Polish. If you didn't speak German, you were kind of in trouble.
That's right. So he always had somebody who could speak German.
Okay.
The one picture I have on the wall has a picture of Schiller Kleinschmidt in it with my grandfather.
Okay.
He was the German-speaking clerk.
Okay.
Then.
And I will be getting pictures of some of the stuff on the walls, some of the plaques and all that good stuff, so that everybody can get an up-close view of some of that old stuff. So that's really cool. And your grandfather, his name was Robert Orr, correct?
Yes.
If you can kind of just give a brief history of how he started off and just kind of what he started doing.
Okay. Well, he worked for Woods in Cass City, and I think that was probably a after-school job as a high school kid.
Make some money here and there. You know.
And liked pharmacy and decided to go into it. Back then, the educational requirements were not what they are today.
Yeah.
But my grandfather didn't actually graduate from high school because he refused to finish a Latin class. And I'm not sure that he graduated from Ferris Institute either, but he did take a course there to help prepare him for the state examination.
Okay.
Beyond that, apprenticeship was very important, and he got that working for Woods.
Well, that's very cool. Now, Woods, you said it was Woods Drugstore in Cass City. As far as I know, they're not in business anymore, right?
No,
Probably long gone.
They were right on the main intersection, right on the main corner in Cass City.
Okay. All right, Fred, if you just want to kind of go over your grandfather, Robert, some of the veterinarian service, I guess I don't know, services he would do, but...
Veterinary supplies.
Okay.
If you needed roost paint for your chickens, Orr's Drugstore was the place to come.
The place to go. Now, when we were covering, it was a lot of that offhand stuff that people might not have had access to, right?
Yeah. So, and even, I think, your veterinarian might say, well, your horse needs this, go down to the drugstore and get it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it was a little different than it is now.
Okay.
I don't know too much about horses.
Yeah. I don't either, really. I didn't grow up on a farm or anything, so I'm right there with you.
And then, of course, the other thing that he had was the soda fountain, and that was an important part of any drugstore back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And was here too.
Now that was there was some trouble with that though once because with the war going on, I know like sugar, a lot of that stuff was getting rationed off, so they had to cut that out at some point, didn't
Yes,
they?
World War II, the soda fountain was shut down because of rationing.
Okay.
So it was shut down, and I'm not sure that it ever was reopened.
Okay.
I know when my grandfather decided to call it quits on the soda fountain, it was a rather happy day for it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and probably by the time they could have got it going again, it was probably where bottles of pop and stuff like that started becoming more accessible in stores, and you could buy it by the bottle, and
Probably was true too.
yeah.
But I still have people saying you couldn't get ice cream anywhere like you could get at the drugstore.
That's what I hear. I hear that old style ice cream was where it was at. So that's really cool. Do you know roughly when your grandfather Robert, that was your grandfather, and your father's name is John? Do you know roughly when the transition from pretty much your grandfather handing it down to John? Do you know when that was?
I think it started about 1949. It's kind of a gradual transition. And
Okay.
Probably about 55, 56, my dad probably was totally in charge.
Started taking things over. I'm sure he was working here since he was a kid, though.
He
pretty
did,
much.
and then he took a few years where the last thing he wanted to do was work in the drugstore.
Yeah.
And drove a truck for someone one summer and worked in a gas station for a summer.
Really had a couple different jobs when he was growing up
Uh-huh.
then. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you can kind of touch base on some of the differences. We were talking about how different the community is now. I don't know if you can just kind of touch base on some of the differences from when your grandfather was running the store to when your dad started doing it to when you took over. Just some of the different things that you've noticed, or
Well, the pace of things has changed so much.
yeah.
That the store was open a lot of hours when my grandfather had it, but it was a relaxed pace.
Yeah.
You had time for people. Friday night in every small town was the night that everyone came to town, and it was a social event.
A lot of people went out to eat and big gatherings
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff.
And just some people would just sit in their cars and wait and see who walked by and stop to talk to them.
Yeah.
And anymore, the pace is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it makes your day go by fast too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with computers, most of my business comes in on computer and is processed by computer. The billings go out by computer. Couldn't function without them anymore.
Yeah. And that's you think back to a time like when your grandfather was running the store, they would have had a really hard time keeping up with the demand like you have now, with having to handwrite receipts, and there's just a lot of things that are a lot easier now than they were back then, where you couldn't be that busy back then.
My grandfather hand wrote every prescription.
Wow.
My dad typed them, and of course now the computer punches them out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool to see how from generation to generation things progress like that. That is really cool. All right, so we covered your grandfather, we covered your dad. I think it's time to kind of cover you now. When did you kind of start taking things over and really becoming in charge of things?
Well, I came into the business in '75, although I'd worked here as a kid in high school too.
Now, did you enjoy being here for the most part, or was it kind of like, I got to go to work kind of thing?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think I always enjoyed it, but I didn't want to be a pharmacist.
Yeah, yeah.
I spent most of my childhood with people asking me, "Are you going to be a pharmacist?" And I kept saying, no.
I can just imagine all the questions you would get, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you have other aspirations when you were growing up? Did you want to do something different? College, anything like that?
I went to college, I wasn't really certain what I wanted to do. I went to Michigan State.
Great place to
And
go. Yeah.
I enjoyed Michigan State, but part of my reason for picking Michigan State was because they didn't have a pharmacy.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
But after 2 years at Michigan State, I needed to declare a more specific major than I had. And I looked at what do I want to do and what have I taken. And all but one credit transferred into the pharmacy program at Ferris College.
Wow.
At that point, that was Ferris State College. My grandfather went to Ferris Institute, and now it's Ferris University.
Okay.
But-
Yeah, and there it is again. Another as generations go, how
Everything's
things progress. Yep.
So even though I was avoiding it, like I said, every class except one credit, wilderness survival, everything but that one credit transferred to Ferris.
Okay.
And I was pretty much in pace with everyone else in the pharmacy curriculum.
Seems like it was just kind of maybe meant to be then.
I think so.
Yeah. Yep. Now, real quick, I think it's a good time for us to cover just a couple of days ago, which I'll actually be putting a video of this up too. You received an award from the Pigeon Chamber just across the road here, and you actually have that plaque with you if you want to grab that quick and show that
Okay.
off. All right, and if you could tell everybody what it says there, Orr's Drug Store 2019.
Okay, yes, Orr's Drug Store 2019 in recognition of 100 years in business. It's from the Pigeon Chamber.
That
of
is
Commerce.
awesome, and like we said, 1919 was the beginning, and of course not at this location, just down the road. What is now it's Independent Bank, right?
Independent Bank was
Okay.
the first location, and down on the corner here where Habitat for Humanity has their offices now is second location.
All right. Now, do you is there any plan to maybe getting another store put in down the road, or is this kind of where you're keeping things?
I'm staying.
Yeah, not a bad idea. And you are pretty well. I think this location is pretty well known. Everybody knows where Orr's Drug Store is at. We mentioned Pigeon isn't a big town, but you are definitely a staple in the community, I would definitely say, so that's cool. All right, if we can see up on the wall here, we have some plaques, some different pictures. Fred, if you wouldn't mind just kind of showing those off. I got some pictures of them earlier. I'll have those put up with the interview.
Okay. Well, this, my grandfather and my dad and Irma Schmidt, she worked here so many years, she was just family.
And she kind of started about when your grandfather did. She was pretty much here since the beginning, or a little bit down the road.
I think in the 30s she started.
Okay.
But she was one of our German-speaking clerks too.
All right. And who was that in the middle there?
Okay, that was my dad. And at the end here, that was my grandfather.
It's cool to see old pictures like that.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, and underneath of those pictures up top there, you have an old advertisement plaque.
Yep, this is one of my favorites. It was just kind of a brainstorm one year when we needed an ad for Farmers Festival. And it tells that in 1919 there was no better place to shop than Orr's Drug Store. And it's still true.
Yeah, even today.
And
yep.
it features a picture of my grandmother in quite a fancy bonnet and one of my aunts in a baby carriage.
And like I said, I'll have zoomed in pictures of those so everybody can get an up-close look at that. And if you want to finish off that top left one up on top.
Okay. And then this year in January, I was honored by the Pigeon Lions Club for 100 years in service, or 100 years in business.
Yeah, yep.
And they presented us with the plaque too.
Okay. So you got one from the Pigeon Chamber and one from the Pigeon Lions.
Very-
Very cool.
Very honored.
Yeah, that is very cool. Now, getting back to that advertisement, you at one point actually, you guys were kind of on TV at one point, right? You had kind of an advertisement ploy.
We've a couple of times actually, but at one point when cable TV was fairly new in the area, we worked with the local company that was running it and had ads on the cable cable TV, and ads were cheap back then, plus they didn't have a lot of people advertising.
Yeah.
So you could find me on cable about any time of the day or night.
Now, was that when you were running things, or was that?
Yeah, I would say late 70s probably.
Did you have a lot of people after it got put on TV? A lot of people coming up and saying, "Hey, we saw you on TV," and
Yeah, that. And the other thing that I've done, I was part of Good Neighbor Pharmacy, a pharmacy group, and as a group we did advertising on TV5 for a couple of years.
Okay.
Got a lot of recognition from that.
so you really are. You're almost like a local celebrity then for a lot of people.
I don't think so. But
I think some people like to think so, though, because, like I said, what you guys do for the community, I think especially being it's a, how's the best way I put it? It's a, you're not just like a grocery store, you're not a gas station. I mean, people come in, they're sick, they're really looking for some relief, whatever it is.
yeah,
And
advice.
it's just, yes.
Sometimes just good advice.
Yeah.
What would you do with this?
Yep. And I think how easy you are to talk to, it's just really nice for people to come in, and I think just the experience is something that makes Orr's Drug Store so cool, and I can see why it's been around for so long, so that's really cool. Well, Fred, I think to kind of wrap things up, I think we'll kind of cover, you plan on staying in business for a while, and any retirement plan down the road, or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
As long as it stays fun, I'm going to be here.
Yeah, okay.